Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Power Vacuum. I'm your host, Belmont, and do I have some good news for you today? Finally, a positive story from TechSpot. NAMCO backs new light gun for modern TVs with Time Crisis built in. Premium pack includes arcade classic, Time Crisis, and more titles. It looks like it comes with Point Blank, Steel Gunner, and Steel Gunner 2. Kind of wish Point Blank was just Time Crisis 2, but I understand the need for the flexibility. But let's get into this. Something to look forward to. Since traditional light guns rely on CRT technology, the once popular genre faded into obscurity with the rise of modern flat screen panels. Multiple manufacturers have created workarounds in recent years, but Namco, the maker of numerous popular light gun games, is backing a device that supposedly revives the classics using AI. Okay, let's try to get this right. Tassei Denki Co. is preparing to launch a Kickstarter campaign for a plug and play light gun that supports modern displays and comes pre installed with Time Crisis. Although the launch dates for the Kickstarter and the device itself remain unclear, availability is expected to begin this fall in time for the classic arcade game's 30th anniversary. Fuck. Time Crisis is 30 years old? 1995, right there. It does not feel like, yeah, I guess, never mind. It does feel like 30 years ago. The Now are they gonna go G Amy? We're gonna go with G Aim E. Light gun was first unveiled last year, but Tassei has since redesigned the device and provided new information regarding what customers can expect. The gun doesn't rely on external gaming platforms, but rather ships plugged into a box that connects to a TV. The $90 standard package includes the arcade version of the first Time Crisis game, but a $120 premium tier adds Point Blank, Steel Gunner 2, and a foot pedal for taking cover. That's actually kind of worth it. If the foot pedal is there for you to take cover and you don't have to like two hand the gun and you so the old ones didn't have the foot pedal. There was another button on the gun that you had to hold the front. So you had to two hand this oversized pistol basically and push the button on the front that would make your character take cover. And the foot pedal for I think was introduced in Time Crisis 2, which game changer because you could like rapidly jump in and out of cover. Uh, let's see, light gun games from the 1980s and 90s, such as Duck, Duck Hunt, Virtua Cop, House of the Dead, and Time Crisis, interacted with CRTs using infrared light and photosensors to calculate a player's aim when they pulled the trigger. In 2008, Namco's GunCon 3 controller for the PlayStation 3 version of Time Crisis 4 attempted to mimic Nintendo's Wii Remote by employing sensors placed on either side of the display. Uh, I I think I remember trying that. It wasn't that accurate, and it was obnoxious at times because it would not register your fire if you weren't aimed just right, and it would just you'd go into a reload loop. Tasei advertises its light gun as a device that requires minimal setup in comparison, using AI and an internal camera to determine the position on screen. Details on the AI utilized remain scarce, but the GAME also automatically adjusts or readjust in response to movement, eliminating the need for manual recalibration. The GAME Premium Pack. Gunbullet, Time Crisis, and the two Steel Gunner games. World's first AI powered plug and play gun for modern TVs. So if it does have a camera in there, and I wonder if it would still fire a laser underneath the lens so the camera could pick up where the laser registers. I'm curious how the technology works. I really am. Although to say isn't widely known and critical details on the project remain unclear, Namco's seal of approval should come as a good sign. The GAME is the closest thing to an official light gun release in almost 2 decades. However, other light gun designs for homebrew retro consoles have recently emerged. The send-in utilizes a high-speed camera to enable emulated classics on LCDs, LEDs, and OLED screens. It supports Windows, Linux, Raspberry Pi, PlayStation, and PS2. Another light gun based on the Sinden is expected to be unveiled for the Polymega modular console soon. Yeah, there you go. Um, the fact that this comes preloaded with Time Crisis is probably the big seller for it. And, Steel Gunner, I don't think I ever played the original Steel Gunner. I played Steel Gunner 2 in the arcade because the arcade I went to was in Aladdin's Castle, and it had Time Crisis 2, Steel Gunner 2, and House of the Dead all right next to each other. And it was probably the second noisiest part of the arcade. The noisiest being well, depends on who was playing. If the bad players were on the DDR machine, that was probably the noisiest part because they stomped and made a hell of a noise. But usually skee ball and there's the skee ball and pinball were in the same area in Aladdin's Castle, and those games make a ton of freaking noise. Balls slamming into stuff. The pinball paddles make that loud like a chunk sound. Plus pinball like makes noises and flashes lights at you for every single action you make in the game, even when you lose. But just the constant click of the fake rack sliding back on the guns in the light gun section was just, it was kind of nice, but if you weren't playing the light gun things, it was loud. You definitely gave them a little side eye. You were over there trying to play, Street Fighter Third Strike, or 3 as it was originally called on the arcade machines, and nobody knew what it was. For those of you that don't know, the original Street Fighter Third Strike, the arcade machine was just labeled 3 in the Street Fighter font. And when you went up, it didn't say anything until you put a quarter in. You recognize it as Street Fighter, but you didn't recognize the characters because they introduced a bunch of new characters. I think it was the first time Charlie was playable. But this is awesome. And I'm going to wait to see if it functions properly and see what the reviews are. But if it works, I'm going to pick up one of these because I love Time Crisis, and I would love to see them put out Time Crisis 2. I pumped hundreds of dollars worth of quarters and spent thousands of hours playing Time Crisis 2. I probably still remember where all the green vest guys are. Or is it orange vest guys? I think it was orange shirt, green vest. Secret characters that popped up for 2 seconds that you had to shoot to get bonus points. It was basically if you didn't kill the secret characters in the vest, you probably didn't earn enough points to progress to the end of the game, unless you were an absolute pro. But it's kind of exciting. It's kind of exciting. I can't wait to see how well it works, and if it's good, again, I'm definitely going to get one for myself. I would buy the 120 version because I want that foot pedal. I do not want to have to press a button. I can't even see where the button would be. It's probably this button, or if there's on the other side, there might be a B or C button, but that's probably the duck button if you don't have the foot pedal. This is probably a thing to take it apart. It does. Yeah, it doesn't look like an actual button. This might let you disassemble the gun for cleaning or maintenance. But there you have it. A new version of the light gun. It's not technically a light gun. It's more of what it sounds like, a camera gun, which there is a camera gun, so fires one bullet. Super risky to hold a gun up to your face. But new light gun technology coming out, and if it works well, it could revitalize the genre. You could see new games coming out with like high fidelity graphics and better mechanics that utilize this item. This accessory could bring a new age of I guess an old age of gaming to the new era. But that's all I have for this report. This is your host Belmont, signing out.